Welcome to this course. This course is divided into 5 modules. This first module will deal with the auditing fundamentals. Let's look at the definitions of some of the basic quality terms. Auditing is a systematically planned activity. It is conducted by an independent person and is formally documented. Auditors should objectively evaluate the situation. In simpler terms, we can say that quality is meeting the agreed requirements. In context of auditing, we may say that quality means following the applicable international standard, system, procedures, contract, and legal requirements. When we think of quality assurance, we think of systems, procedures, proactive defect prevention, trainings, and audits. Audits provide confidence that the planned steps are taken and are effective. Quality control focuses on product testing, inspections, and reviews. Non-fulfillment of requirements is called non-conformity. Audits are conducted to ensure that the organization implements the planned systems and procedures, and these are effective in meeting the end goal. Areas of improvement are identified. Some audits are conducted to ensure that the organization meets the legal requirements. Another purpose of conducting audits is to get the organization certified to an international standard. Audits may be conducted to evaluate the capability of a new supplier. Existing suppliers are also audited regularly, and in case of a quality problem, changes such as management change, system change, order quantity change may also lead to an audit. Audits are also conducted to meet the contractual and legal requirements. The key purpose of an audit is to provide the confidence to customer, management, employees, and other stakeholders that the systems are implemented and are effective. Audit also identifies the gaps, problems, opportunities for improvement. This leads to the continual improvement of the system and improves the market position of the company. Internal audits are conducted by an organization to evaluate its performance. External audits are conducted by an outside party. The outside party could be a client or an independent third party. In the earlier slide, we learned that an audit can be classified as an internal audit or an external audit. Internal audit can also be called as the first-party audit. External audit can be a second-party or a third-party audit. Second-party audit is conducted by the client, while the third-party audit is conducted by an independent organization. In addition to classifying the audits based on the auditing party, the audits can also be classified based on the scope. Product audits have a narrow scope and focus on products and services. Process audits have the broader scope and concentrate on the process. System audits have wide scope and cover the overall system, including the processes and the products. The system audit is an audit of the entire quality management system. Process audit focuses on specific processes. A process audit examines the effectiveness of company procedures. An audit that focuses on a product or service to determine if it meets specifications is called a product audit. This slide provides the definitions of some other types of audits. ISO 19011 provides guidance on auditing management systems. ISO 9001 specifies requirements for a quality management system. All requirements of ISO 9001 are generic and are intended to be applicable to all organizations, regardless of type, size, and product. Over time, various industry sector-specific standards have evolved. This slide lists some of the industry-specific standards. Lead auditor is responsible for leading the audit team. The lead auditor prepares the audit plan, conducts the meetings, and submits the formal audit report. Lead auditor may have one or more auditors in the audit team. Auditee is the one being audited. Audit client is the organization or person requesting an audit. Auditors must be independent of the activity being audited. They should be free from bias and conflict of interest. Auditors must maintain an objective state of mind throughout the audit process. They should ensure that audit findings and conclusions are based only on the audit evidence. This second module covers the process of audit preparation and planning. This module covers the process of audit planning. The next three modules will cover the processes of audit performance, audit reporting, and audit follow-up and closure. Let's get started on this module. One of the first step the audit team must do is to verify the audit authority. Authority to conduct the audit might come from one or more of the items mentioned on this slide. Audit scope refers to the activities covered by an audit. In order to mark the boundaries of the audit scope includes the type of audit, activities, facilities, and locations covered in the audit. An internal auditor need to be fair, unbiased, and objective. In addition, an auditor should be independent of the area being audited. ISO 9001 does not specify any specific requirement for the auditor. But still, to perform the function well, the auditor need to be aware of the area being audited. Auditor availability is another key point while selecting an auditor. Based on the audit purpose and scope, the lead auditor or the auditor develops an audit checklist. It is a good practice to send the audit checklist to the auditee at the time of audit notification. It is preferable to have the open questions in the checklist. Open questions allow the auditee to talk more. Audit checklist should have space to record the auditee response and findings. This and the next slide provide the advantages of preparing an audit checklist. This slide lists a few more advantages of using an audit checklist. Checklists are useful for an audit, however poorly prepared checklists may not add value to the audit. Scoring checklists are used when it is planned to compare the performances. However, scoring checklists should be used with caution. Scoring might lead to focus on improving the score rather than improving the real performance. Scoring checklists may be used for a compliance audit. The next three slides will provide the details of these three types of audit strategies. In traceforward audit strategy, the auditor picks a sample at the beginning of the process. The auditor then follows the progress of the product as it flows in the process. In this way, the auditor audits the process by incrementally moving forward from the beginning to the end. Unlike traceforward, the auditor picks the final product and traces backward to preceding activities. In this audit strategy, the auditor randomly picks the item in the process. This approach should be used by the experienced auditors who know the process well. Audit Schedule is the easiest way to keep your audit program on track. The audit schedule is a living document and can be revised, if necessary. Earlier, we learned that audit is a planned activity. Lead auditor sends the audit notification to the auditee well in advance. The notification includes details, such as the purpose, scope, date, duration of audit, and the auditor's name. The use of safety equipment is also clarified at this stage. It is a good practice to provide an audit checklist to the auditee at this time. Audit Agenda is prepared by the audit team leader and includes these details. After audit fundamentals and audit preparation, let us move to this third module of the Internal Auditor course. This module on audit performance has been divided into 4 parts: opening meeting, audit interviews, audit findings, and the exit meeting. As a part of audit preparation exercise, auditor prepares an audit checklist and send the audit notification and agenda to the auditee. Before start of the field audit, an opening meeting is conducted. This, and the next slide, list the typical items covered in the opening meeting. The actual audit findings, identified in the audit, are discussed in the closing meeting. However, in the opening meeting, the method of classifying these findings is explained by the lead auditor. This slide shows the typical participants of an opening meeting. The audits carried out in the relaxed environment produce the best results. The open-type questions provide more details. Before auditor leave, the audit results should be summarized and reviewed with the auditee. At the end of the interview, don't forget to thank the auditee. The open-ended questions keep your auditee talking. You should be looking for more than a yes and no response from the auditee. Look at the examples of open and close-ended questions on this slide. Good listening skills are essential for auditors. Active listening is a method of paying close attention to what the other person is saying. Look at some of the methods listed on this slide to improve your listening skills. In addition to asking the open-ended questions, the auditor needs to verify the facts. The facts can be verified by looking at the actual workplace, items, processes, documents, or records. Auditor has a limited time to do all these verifications. Sampling becomes an important technique. Auditor must be familiar with the sampling techniques and its advantages and limitations. Audit evidences include the documentary evidences, physical evidences, and the statements made by auditees. This slide shows some of the documentary evidences that can be verified during an audit. Another type of audit evidences are physical evidences. During audit, the auditor looks at the products, equipment, instruments, conditions, and operations. Auditor corroborates the audit evidences to ensure its correctness, completeness, and reliability. This is done by cross-verification. For example, while looking at the calibration records of an instrument, the auditor physically looks at the instrument and the calibration sticker on it. Nobody can remember all the details, so auditors take notes during the audit. The auditor should explain at the beginning that he or she will be taking notes during audit, and any audit finding will be specifically communicated. This should relax the auditee. Audit findings can be classified as strengths, opportunities for improvement, and non-conformities. The difference between a major and a minor non-conformance is discussed later in this module. A well-written nonconformity should have these three parts. It should say, what is wrong, what is the requirement, and which particular sample observed by the auditor did not meet the requirement. Nonconformities related to the absence, or total breakdown of a system, will lead to a major nonconformity. In addition, if the nonconformity could lead to a defective product shipped to the customer, or could lead to a safety concern, it is classified as a major nonconformity. First, let us look at the difference between a fact and evidence. A fact is something that can be proved. And evidence is something that someone tells you, or objects that can point to the facts. Objective evidence is the information which can be proved true, based on facts obtained through observation, measurement, test, or other means. Once the audit interviews are complete, lead auditor discusses the findings with audit team members. Lead auditor then presents these findings in the exit meeting. The formal audit report may take some time to complete, so in the exit meeting, a draft report is usually presented to the auditee. This fourth module of the Internal Auditor course covers the audit reporting. Audit report is the significant output of the audit process. It serves two purposes. Firstly, it acts as undocumented evidence that the audit was conducted as required by the audit plan. The second purpose of it is to convey the audit results to the responsible process owners. Timely submission of the audit report is important. Any critical issue, seriously affecting the quality or safety should be reported then and there. The audit report may have a brief high-level summary for the senior management and detailed report for the action party. This slide presents some tips for writing an effective audit report. This, and the next two slides, present the typical contents of an audit report. The contents of an audit report may however vary from company to company. The distribution list is determined by the audit client. These are some of the optional contents of an audit report. These are a few more optional contents of an audit report. This slide presents a list of items not to be included in the audit report. Audit report should be retained, as per the company's record retention policy. The audit report retention timing is determined by these factors. This last module of the Internal Auditor course deals with the process of audit closure. Once the audit report has been issued by the auditor, it is the auditee's responsibility to take the corrective actions. Normally an auditor is involved to follow up on the actions taken, to address the findings. Verification of the findings may be done during the subsequent audit. However, in some cases, a follow-up audit may happen to review the actions taken. Another method of verification is by record review. In this, the auditee forwards the details of the actions taken and the documentary evidences to the auditor. The next slide lists some of the documentary evidences used for this purpose. This slide lists the examples of documentary evidences to close the audit findings. Timely closure of an audit finding is important. It does not help the organization if the audit findings remain open for unreasonably long time. The time required to close a finding depends on the complexity of the problem and the severity of the deficiency. The process of handling audit findings can be summarized in 3 steps. Auditor identifies the problem, auditee takes the corrective action, and finally auditor verifies the implementation and effectiveness of the action. While deciding on the corrective action, the auditee should consider conducting a root cause analysis. This will help in avoiding the recurrence of the same problem. Root cause analysis could be formal or informal. As a last step, the auditor verifies the implementation and effectiveness of the action. We thank you for attending this course, and we hope that you found this course useful.